Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back. I'll apologise in advance. I have got a cold. I had a cold making the project and I've still got a cold coming to do the voiceover. So I can't get away from posting this video without a cold. So I will keep any sniffles, etc. To a minimum or cut them out altogether if I can. But please do accept my apologies. Now, I have never been a lover of resin bookmark moulds. My daughter is a very keen reader of paper books, as opposed to the electronic ones. And I know how precious she is about not breaking the spines, not bending the pages. And I've always been a bit cautious about the idea of doing bookmarks that are going to end up being too thick and making dents in the pages. But I assume that that doesn't happen because otherwise nobody would buy them, would they? And at the end of the day, I don't know until I make them how thick they are. And I guess you don't have to fill the mould fully. It's just that if you don't do that, you are going to have to trim. So maybe I could make them thinner and trim them if I don't like the thickness of them. So I've given into temptation and I've bought 2 sets of bookmarks from Let's Resin. And as you can see already, I've got my chrome powders out for this set. I didn't want to use my chrome powders, but I couldn't resist wanting to use the red for that heart bookmark. I'm not going to do all of the bookmarks. I'm just picking a couple off each mould that I want to do. For this mould, I already know that I am going to want black behind that heart. So for the other designs that I do on this mould, I'm also going to use either my chrome powders or my chameleon powders. That way, that mould, I know, is going to get black resin put with it, just to keep things simple for me to not have to remember. This one needs black, that one needs white, that one needs clear. Okay, I shall put you onto a music time lapse now. I don't envisage me needing to talk much in this video, other than to explain maybe a reason why I've used a certain colour or a certain type of powder. I think it's going to be more therapeutic watching me paint the mould. The next time I speak will be when you see me start on the next mould.
Little cup on the table, gloves on, hair up, let it start. Mixing moonlight in a Dixie till it looks like liquid stars. Tiny mold in the middle, axolotl in the clear. Give it gills made out of daydreams, watch the colors disappear. Sherry heart, pour your heart into resin. Little works of art, chrome dust dancing, swirling slow where the chameleon rivers glow. Sherry heart from your hands, bookmarks swimming out of rainbow bands. Every piece a secret spark, saving somebody's favorite part. Cattails curled in a corner, tiny paws on a silver page. Ears pricked up in the shimmer, like they're listening to the rain. Heart that catches every highlight, butterfly about to fly. Bow that freezes mid-ribbon, all that glitter, all that sky. Sherry heart, pour your heart into resin.
For this set, I am using some different powders. I've slowed it down so that you can see the box better. And to be honest, the only reason I'm using this powders set is because I don't use them very much. I think they're probably the first ones I ever bought, and yet they're the ones that I use the least. They are described as being vibrant, shimmery, and metallic. And I just wanted to have fun with this mould. I'm going to paint different colours onto different areas of the design. And I just wanted to have a bit of fun with it and see what results I could get from these shimmery powders. Back to a music time lapse. I'll speak again after I've finished this cat and moon mould.
Little works of art, chrome dust dancing, swirling slow where the chameleon rivers glow. Sherry heart from your hands, bookmarks swimming out of rainbow bands. Every piece a secret spark, saving somebody's favorite part. Axolotl in the margin, try to sleep between the lines. Tiny heart to hold the ending. Power wings around the spine. Every story that they fall in gets a bit of who you are. Pouring wishes into plastic till they look just like a star. Sherry heart, pour your heart into resin. Little works of art, chrome dust dancing, swirling slow where the chameleon rivers glow. Sherry heart from your hands, bookmarks swimming out in rainbow bands. Every piece a secret spark, saving somebody's favorite part.
You might think it's because of the lighting that black doesn't look very black, but it's not. It isn't a very good black. But also I wanted to speak to the patchiness on the cat. I don't know why it went patchy, but I'm quite happy with that. I'm actually quite happy to leave it as a patchy design on the cat. Okay, back to music again. I will speak again after I have finished this mould.
Little strip of sky on a page, swirl of blue in a silver wave. Tiny pressed flower in the dark, sign so small, love, sherry heart. Epoxy dreams in a bookmark line, holding your place, holding your time. Every pore and every spark, made with a love by sherry heart. Take this corner of my heart, made with a love by sherry heart. Coffee ring ghosts on your desk, dog-eared spine, all the words you kept. Right where your favorite chapter starts, there's my name, there's my heart. Epoxy dreams in a bookmark line, holding your place, holding your time. Every pore and every spark, made with love by sherry heart. Take this corner.
I'm going to start this segment with an apology. For the previous segment, I wasn't in my craft room. I was just at my work desk in the living room. So literally all I had there was my moulds, my powders and some cotton buds and wipes. Here, being back in my craft room, I've got my resins out, my mixer, my cups, all my little tools, my cotton buds, my levelling table. So my craft room desk is very cramped for space. So I hope you don't mind that you can't see the whole mould and that you can see other little bits of peripheral items around the edges. This mould is the one I'm the most excited about. The heads, the character heads, protrude out the top of the book, so they're fatter, and then the body is the bookmark part. And again, I'm using those shimmery powders to colour the animal features. Now, I want to go back to a music time lapse. I don't want to keep cutting in. So to speak ahead of time, for this cat mould, I am also going to dust on some black and brown powder and then mix them up on the mould to make that multicoloured cat look. I've got one called Pepper, where she's a mix of blacks and browns and whites, so I'm doing that now. And then I do the axolotl one where I paint the fins and a couple of facial features with a darker pink, but then I'm going to just use a alcohol ink pale pink colour for the axolotl body, so I'm not putting powder onto the axolotl body. Okay, back to just a minute of music.
My heart, made with love by Sherry Hart. Little cup on the table, gloves on, hair up, let it start. Mixing moonlight in a Dixie till it looks like liquid stars. Tiny mold in the middle, axolotl in the clear. Give it gills made out of daydreams, watch the colors disappear. Sherry Heart.
Right, so I have mixed up some resin. The Let's Resin moulds do have measurements on them, but that's for the whole mould. So because I'm not doing the whole moulds, it is a complete guess. And so as I said there, I have poured some pink alcohol ink in for the body to make a paler body. And I'm just using clear for the backing of my peppery cat. Just trying to lift up some bubbles from the corners here as gently as I can to avoid scraping the powders, but I'm using a dotting tool so it's got a rounded point. For the cat and moon mould, I'm using a blue metallic alcohol ink to make a shimmery blue background. And for the other one, just clear with some crushed crystal. And apology number 2, I am sorry that you cannot see all of this. I've got a new camera arm in my craft room. My previous camera arm was really low, and so I had the phone pointing down at the project, and I could just lift my body up to see what the camera can see. With this camera arm, it's really high, so I have it where the phone is pointing at the ceiling, but then I reverse the camera. So for me to see what the camera is seeing, I have to look up at my phone. And unfortunately, I just haven't got into that habit yet. So again, I apologise. And finally, we have the Chrome and Chameleon powder bookmarks, and I'm just making up my black resin. Now, because these have got powders on, I'm not spraying them with alcohol, and because the resin is black, I can't see if there are any bubbles. And I don't want to go poking around with a dotting tool willy-nilly, risking scratching the powders off. So this is going to be an interesting demould. I am going around just pushing the resin to the ends, but not intending to actually touch the mould. And I think I did accidentally touch the mould a couple of times. Hopefully I didn't scratch the powders off. For those of you who are eagle-eyed, and now that I'm mentioning it, for those of you that are not eagle-eyed as well, I'm not wearing gloves anymore because the last pair had got so sticky, but I didn't want to put another pair on just for finishing this last couple of moulds. So I am using a baby wipe to pick up my cup. Demould time. Let's do these two first. They will be soft because they are bookmarks, which means they are thin. And as you know, thin items take longer to fully cure. Little tip, if you're new, if you pull the mould away, and it does pull away, it is cured, but if the resin pulls with it, it is not cured. So as long as the mould is pulling away, it is cured enough to demould. Not too bad. slightly underpoured on this end, so maybe my levelling table isn't as level as I thought it was. Now you see this one, by just pulling the mould, let me do it in a different corner again, by just pulling the mould, the resin was moving with it, but by getting my finger right to the mould and actually pulling at the edge of the mould, it pulls away from the resin. So these will have to be stored flat somewhere for about a week to fully harden. Again, not too bad. I like the pale blue shimmery background. The effect of the patchy cat didn't come off exactly how I wanted. It just looks like a patchy, patchy colouring rather than a patchy cat. Okay, let's do, I want to save these to last because these are the ones I'm most excited about, but I want to leave them to last because of the chrome and chameleon powders. Right, okay, I've had overspill on this one. And overspill, in my opinion, is best dealt with. It depends what tool you're going to use. Let's just have a look first. Again, the patchy pattern didn't really work out. It just looks like I've coloured the mould badly. So if you're going to use scissors or clippers, then you can do it while it's soft. But if you're going to use a deburring tool or a sander, you are best waiting until it has fully hardened. So it might still need a little bit of a sanding when it is fully cured. These are much easier to demould. Now the colour is no different. I didn't get the different depth of colour on the forgotten what they're called, but that is a perfectly poured one. No sharp edges, no trimming, no sanding required, and bubble wise very minimal. I'm quite happy with that. Right, let's do the bow first. Few bubbles. Remember I said I won't be able to see if there's any bubbles in these. That's pretty good. And butterfly next, and I'm saving the heart one for last because of that nice deep red. Didn't expect that to be quite as green. Ooh, this is very bendy. Gorgeous. And only one bubble there. Teensy weensy bubble there, you can barely see it. You can't see it if you're not looking for it. Oh. Whoops, again. Now, one thing I need to improve on, aside from my keeping in frame, is decorating my pieces after the fact. And if I was a bit more talented, maybe I would be able to decorate those pieces up a little bit. But at the moment, I am struggling on that side of things. I've started to paint or colour on top of my pieces now and again. But as for example, glitz and glitter style blinging up, I see maybe I could put a couple of rhinestones on the butterfly or something to make it stand out a bit more. And the bow, maybe rhinestones down there. But I would need a lot of time to think about how to do it without going over the top. So I shall leave them there for now. And what I intend to do in the future, maybe go back over some old pieces and bling them up and do a blinging up old pieces video. Yeah, here's some pieces I made last year. Now I'm going to bling them up. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Next week is my one-to-one collab with Tracy from Mini Scenes GB, and I beg you to watch that one because that is going to be my proudest video yet. Okay, thank you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Little strip of sky on a page, swirl of blue in a silver wave, tiny pressed flower in the dark, sign so small, love, sherry heart, epoxy dreams in